those of you out there just starting to explore your own spiritual path. I hope you find this show to be one of the resources you turn to for information on how to navigate your own path. Today's show has been pre recorded, which means I won't be taking any callers. I started this internet radio show on September 1st and had planned on doing 2 shows a month. In November, I found myself to be blocked concerning the show, and I ended up canceling both episodes. Not sure why I was blocked, but I simply followed my intuition. I knew that in time I would receive guidance and direction on what to do with the show. So a few days ago, actually it's been a week now, I was out shopping with a few family members, and we stopped into Celestial Awakenings, which is a metaphysical store in Vancouver, Washington. As I was browsing through everything in the store, I came into the room where they display their tarot and oracle cards. These cards are handy to use when you want to communicate with your guardian angels or guides, or any of the angels. The card packs come in all different subjects. I have quite a few decks and I use them frequently to get answers to questions. Or I just use them to find out what information my angels want me to know at a particular moment. So as I was looking through the display of cards, I noticed the brand new deck from Doreen Virtue called Archangel Gabriel Oracle Cards. Knowing this deck was just recently released, I decided to buy it, and they only had one on the shelf. That night, I unwrapped the deck, opened it up, and the first thing I did was to smudge it with sage. The reason I did this is to clear out the energy that may have been lingering in the deck. I didn't know who had handled the deck, and I wanted to make sure that the only energy it had attached to it was mine. The smoke from the burning sage will clear out the existing energies. I also use sage nightly to clear out my bedroom prior to sleeping. Once I was finished smudging the cards, I shuffled them, and then I counted them. I remember the very first deck of cards I received was a gift from a friend. It was Doreen Virtue's Goddess Guidance Oracle cards. When I counted the cards in that deck, there were 45 instead of the usual 44. There happened to be 2 of one of the cards. I took that as a message from the angels. When something unusual like this happens, such as an extra card or a card that is upside down, it is to be taken as a sign for you to figure out the meaning. So anyway, after shuffling the new deck and counting them, which is a great way to connect with each card and infuse your energy, I found them out. Then I simply began to do a loose shuffle, moving cards from the front of the deck to the back of the deck. I allowed my intuition to tell me which card I needed to pick from the deck. It could be I choose a card because it sticks way up in the deck, wanting to be known and picked, kind of like, hey, pick me, pick me. Other times, there is just a knowing on which card wants to be seen. Kind of like that card that kind of hangs out in the background and just so desperately wants to be picked as part of the team but doesn't kind of stand out. Kind of like that. So you can never make a wrong choice when selecting the cards you want. When I had made my choice of a card, there were actually 2 cards that were stuck together. I don't consider that a mistake. I consider that the angel's way of telling me that they have 2 messages for me. The first card I drew was a personal message. However, the second card was titled Perfectionism. The message at the bottom of the card read, polishing your creative project is fine, but don't allow perfectionistic fear to result in procrastination. Bingo! That is what was blocking me from doing the radio show in November. I was so focused on making sure I was choosing the right topics to talk about, and fearful that nobody would listen to it or find it interesting, that I was entirely blocked from doing the show. Each deck of cards also comes with a guidebook that gives more detail on each card. I will read you what this card was telling me. So, I'm going to quote, you are receiving this card because of a tendency that could block your creative flow, perfectionism. Your spiritual mind is one with the mind of the infinitely creative creator. Therefore, your inspired creativity is divinely perfect in spiritual truth. An earthly truth is that all physical forms of creativity could be improved. However, there comes a time when you must release your creation out into the world for others to enjoy. Any fears you have about perceived imperfections will only attract critics as a self fulfilling prophecy. It goes on to read perfectionism can also lead to procrastination as you wait for the perfect moment to begin your creative work. You may be delaying until more time, inspiration, confidence, or other conditions arise. The truth is that now is the perfect time for you to begin, even if you're just taking small daily steps towards the fruition of your dream. Wow. So for me, message delivered loud and clear. Basically, my angels and guides were telling me to quit procrastinating on the show and just start doing it again. Fortunately for me, they also started giving me ideas for the show. The ideas they passed on to me gave me the inspiration to sit down and outline this particular show. I know that for now I was much more comfortable with pre-recording the show, so that is how I decided to approach the episode. Although I don't know, pre-recording can be pretty stressful as well. We'll see how this episode turns out. So if you're new to your journey, picking up a deck of cards to experiment with can be a great fun and wonderful way of communicating with your angels and guides. When you shop for a deck, just let your intuition guide you to the deck that is meant to work with you. Don't overthink it. You can get the decks basically at any metaphysical store in your area. If you have local resources, please shop for those and keep your money with local businesses. If you have no metaphysical stores in your town, shop the internet. So I'm going to tell you a story about an experience I just had that also involved oracle cards. To help you understand this story, I'm going to give you a little backstory. For those of you who do not know, I own a computer repair business called Computer Diva. Whenever possible, I incorporate some energy healing into my business. What that means is I use the resources of the universe to help me fix technology. Everything is energy in one form or another. Our bodies are energy, computers are energy, and so on. We manifest what we want by trying to match our vibrational frequencies to our desired outcome. So when a computer is broken, oftentimes I can tap into source energy and use that to bring the vibrational frequency of the computer up to the level it needs to be in order for the computer to start working properly again. So as a good example, I recently encountered a computer whose hard drive had stopped working. I replaced the hard drive with a new one and got the computer working again, but there was some data on the old hard drive that I really needed to extract. So what I did was I brought the hard drive into my office and set it down on the desk. I tapped into source energy and put my intention out there on what I wanted to accomplish with the hard drive. I then did a few things to kind of help the process along. And they're kind of unconventional in terms of, typical computer repair, but kind of bear with me as I go through my list. So first, I took 2 crystals. I cleansed them by washing them in cold water, drying them off, and then I laid them on top of the hard drive. The first crystal was the sodalite stone. The sodalite is blue in color, and it will absorb the electromagnetic frequencies of electronics. While it absorbs this, it protects you from those frequencies. I also happen to believe that the sodalite stone will also protect the computer from lower vibrational frequencies that may be hanging about in the room. The second stone was a mahogany obsidian, and this is a beautiful, beautiful, deep, deep chocolate brown with kind of strands of black going through it. So this crystal will transmute anger. Just in case the hard drive is feeling angry about not working, the crystal will help with that. So I find it easier to do my work with computers when I attach personalities to them. The personalities usually form in my mind by reading the energy of the owner of the computer. When I approach a job, I usually take an assessment of the energy in the room the computer is in, as well as the owner of the computer. It really helps me to analyze what may be going on with the computer and how I can approach fixing or healing it. So with this particular hard drive, I didn't sense a whole lot of anger coming from it, but just more of a kind of a frustration at not actually working. So with the crystals in place, I then took a candle and placed it to the left of the hard drive. This was not just any candle. It was a candle made by Jamie Bailey, who makes really special candles and sells them in local shops and on her Etsy store. I've put all of her information in the show notes on my website. The candle I chose was Jamie's clearing candle, which is designed to clear your space without the smoke and odor of white sage. The candle is set with the intention to clear and banish negative energy and create a happy and positive environment in your mind, body, life, and sacred space. I really thought it was the perfect candle to place next to the hard drive. The second candle was simply a tea light candle that I put in a clear glass holder. The uniqueness of this candle is what it was sitting on. It was a hand-tooled copper Metatron cube made by my friend Kelly Laird, who also happens to be the producer of this radio show. I will read you the description of the cube that she has for sale in her Etsy store. So this description reads, the sacred geometries, or platonic solids, within our universe hold keys that become the building blocks of our physical world. These geometries are held by Archangel Metatron and known as Metatron's cube. His cube is a vehicle for manifestation and creation. Metatron's cube is also known as the chariot of God, and when invited into our energy field, can create a vortex of creativity and activity that invoke all archangels to lay miracles at our feet. We begin to experience all the riches of the royal kingdom through activating sacred geometry in our DNA. Wow, a heavy subject for some of the beginners who may be listening to the show. And please, don't feel as if you necessarily need to understand it all now. Simply listen and absorb what you do understand into your consciousness, and the rest will follow when the time is right. In simple terms, the Metatron cube is a tool used for manifestation. I wanted to manifest a completely working hard drive so that I could extract the data off of it. So the Metatron cube was a perfect vehicle for me to use for that. The crystals absorbed the energies I wanted to extract out of the hard drive. The clearing candle was intended to then clear the space of any lingering energies. And thirdly, the Metatron cube with the candle lit and sitting on top of it was used to help me manifest my desire of the working hard drive. So now we get to the part where I use the oracle cards. The fun part. So I chose my deck of Archangel Michael cards as he has this wonderful ability to fix anything electrical or mechanical. I call upon him frequently to assist me with fixing computers. My goal of picking a card was to find out from Archangel Michael if he had any messages for me concerning this hard drive. So I pulled the cards out of the box and did a loose shuffle on them. I was moving the cards from the front to the back of the deck. My intuition told me which card to pick. Then my intuition told me to pick a second card, so I did. And that doesn't normally happen. Usually if I'm going to pick a card from the deck, it's going to be one card. I rarely pick two. So the first card was, the title of it was, Keep Your Eyes on Your Targeted Intention. And it read, Thank you, Archangel Michael, for helping me to keep my eyes focused on my inner vision and intention. I ask for your guidance in releasing any fears or doubts, granting me the confidence and courage to take action towards realizing my dreams. Basically, Archangel Michael was telling me to really focus my intentions on fixing this hard drive and to give up any doubts I had about being able to do this, keeping focused on my intention. So then it was time to pick up the second card, and it read, This situation is already resolved. I give any worries, cares, and concerns to you in exchange for true peace in all ways. Thank you for resolving this situation in a divinely perfect way. That was the perfect card to draw, and I was so glad that my intention guided me to draw that second card. The message was so clear. Keep my intentions focused, and the problem is fixed. I was thrilled beyond measure with these two cards. So, as I was working in my office that morning, I had the candles lit with my intention set of a fully functioning hard drive. When I left for my morning appointments, I blew out the candles and I took the two cards and I placed them underneath the hard drive. So as I was driving to my first appointment, I silenced the radio in the car and then I focused my mind on three things. Number one, I asked Archangel Michael to please cut all energy cords from the hard drive. Energy cords can easily be a topic for a whole show, so I won't go into a long explanation here of what they are, but in a nutshell, they are invisible energy cords attached from someone else. Archangel Michael is who you call upon to cut these cords for you, so I did that for the hard drive, just in case there were any invisible energy cords attached to the drive. Second, I mentally cleared the aura of the hard drive. Third, I mentally balanced the chakras of the hard drive. This is all done in silence. It's all done while I'm driving. My eyes are open, but yet I can visualize clearing the aura and balancing the chakras of this hard drive. So I know it probably sounds a little strange for me to even consider that an inanimate object would have an aura or chakras. However, if we go back to the premise that I stated earlier that we are all energy, simply in different forms, the inanimate object is the same as you and me, but in a different form. So logic tells me that it probably has an aura and chakras too. So that's kind of my story, and I'm sticking to it. So I kind of went about my daily routine for the rest of the day, keeping myself connected to source energy and remaining on my focused intention of a healed and fully functional hard drive. I went to bed early that night because I was kind of fighting a cold, and I thought sleep might be a little bit helpful. However, Spirit had different intentions for me. By 2 a.m., I was wide awake. I had about 6 hours of sleep, and it was either enough sleep or I was awake for a different reason. So I opened my iPad and I got an intuitive feel to open up the unfinished notes I had put together for this particular radio show. Thinking this might be a good time to work on the notes, I scrolled down to the bottom of the page. I set my cursor on a blank line, put my fingers on the keyboard, and just kind of waited for inspiration. It didn't take long for my fingers to start flying over the keys, ideas pouring out onto the screen. I was impressed that I could be coming up with such good material at 2 a.m. in the morning, but I really knew where the words were coming from. They weren't from me. Rather, it was from my angels and guides. That happens to me often when I'm working on some sort of project involving writing, whether it's my radio show, a blog post, or ideas coming to me from my angels and guides, and I simply am the conduit for the information. So one of the messages I received while writing was to write about the work I was doing to extract the data from the hard drive. I was to write the entire scenario as I envisioned it playing out, all the way to the end when I'm successful with the data extraction. The final step was to express my gratitude for a successful data extraction. So I'm going to digress here a little bit and talk about manifestation. When you're trying to manifest something in your life, you're basically trying to attract that desire into your life. The law of attraction is one of the most powerful laws in the universe. So understanding how it works is the key to your success with it. So the law of attraction says that which is like unto itself is drawn. Kind of like, how do I put this? Like attracts like. Birds of a feather flock together. I mean, we've all heard those statements. Also, that which you give thought to is that which you begin to invite into your experience. So, for instance, if you're spending a lot of time worrying about having enough money to pay your bills, chances are you are not going to have the money you need to pay your bills. It's that simple. You are sending the message out into the universe that you don't have the money you need. Therefore, the universe is simply answering your request by making sure you don't have the money. The universe is kind of lining up with your energies and just delivering to you what you were thinking. So instead of worrying about having enough money, put the request and the intention out there that you will have enough money. Then start giving thanks and gratitude for having the money even before you get it. The intention that you put out, combined with the gratitude for receiving it, is extremely powerful. I've done this myself several times, and each time it's when I have kind of a large bill looming in front of me, such as my taxes, my business taxes, my personal taxes. I have all sorts of taxes. Running a small business is not easy and it's not cheap. Um, so I put the intention out there that I will have the money, and I give thanks and gratitude that I have the money, all before the money even arrives. I have confidence that it will arrive. It's always worked for me. I'm honest with you. I tell you, this always works for me when it comes time to pay my taxes. So if you have any worries about anything, what you need to do right now is just open up your front door, take those worries, put them on the doorstep, and tell them to go away. They're not welcome in your home any longer because they don't serve you at all. All they do is bring you what you don't want. So, for now on, anybody who listens to this radio show, you're not allowed to have any worries at all. Um, so, basically, I was kind of using the law of attraction to make this dead hard drive come back to life long enough for me to get the data off of it that I really needed. When I was satisfied that I had written the scenario out as I wanted it to happen, as the angels requested, I put my iPad away and I went back to sleep. I really kind of thought I was going to give the hard drive a day or two to kind of sit with all the energy I had surrounding it before I was going to attempt to turn it on and get any data out of it. However, Spirit had different plans. When I sat down at my desk that morning, my intuition told me to plug the drive into my computer. I kind of thought it was a bit soon, but I just kind of did what my intuition told me to. So I'm going to give you a little bit of a technical lesson here. So in order to take an internal computer hard drive and plug it into another computer as a USB device, you need a special set of cables. You can't just take any set of cables and kind of plug it in. You need a special set of cables. I have 3 sets of those cables. So I opened up my toolbox, and again, I let my intuition guide me. You might be kind of seeing a theme here of intuition that I've been talking about. Your intuition is one of the strongest tools you can have in your spiritual tool chest. It's simply guidance from spirit. So, with the right set of cables chosen, I hooked them up to the hard drive and plugged the USB end into my laptop. Once I turned the power on and I heard the ding of the hard drive indicating a new USB device had been plugged in, I knew I was successful. I was thrilled and immediately said thank you to my angels and guides. However, they had different plans. So um, I tried really hard to get this data extracted off the hard drive. The drive itself died a few times, but I kept trying. I finally got to the point where my data extraction software was open and seeing the drive. As I started the scanning process, I heard the drive start to click, click, click. So another technical lesson here. Um, the the old-fashioned hard drives, because there's two different types of hard drives now, but the old-fashioned type of hard drive, um, it's very much like a record player. It has an arm with a needle that moves over the flat round surface and reads the data. When the arm starts clicking, it is out of its groove and is a surefire indicator of pretty much imminent death. I didn't give up. I then decided, okay, what do I do now? So I decided to pull my Reiki training out of my tool bag, and I administered a little bit of Reiki energy into the hard drive. It was pretty amazing. Not long after I started doing that, I can kind of hear the arm and the needle quiet as it settled into its groove. I really had to do this, 2 or 3 times while the software was scanning for files to recover, because it would kind of settle into its groove, and then I'd hear click, 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 do a little bit of Reiki, settle into its groove, then I'd hear click, 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 Reiki, so forth. Rinse and repeat. So once the software stopped finding any of the files that I wanted to recover, I kind of quickly chose the blocks of files I needed to recover and had them copied over to the hard drive on my laptop. I then backed up the data to an external drive, and then the last and final step was to remote into my client's computer and transfer the files over. Project complete. I was thrilled to the moon and back over the success of my manifestation project with this hard drive. I gave thanks and gratitude to the angels. I was truly victorious. I was thrilled. So this was quite an elaborate project. And to kind of recap, I'll just kind of quickly go through everything that I used to help me achieve this manifestation goal. So the first step, I used my powers of intention to actually get the drive alive enough to get the data I wanted out of it. So putting my intention out there into the universe was step one. You really have to put your intention out there of what it is you want. Number two, of course, I used the clearing candle made by Jamie Rayleigh to help clear the energies out of the room that were not needed. Third, the Metatron cube made by Kelly Lair to help with manifesting. Number four, the sodalite stone to absorb the electromagnetic smog from the hard drive. Number five, the mahogany obsidian stone to transmute any anger from the drive. Number six, of course, Archangel Michael oracle cards used to help me to communicate with the angels. I needed to know what those messages were. And seven, Archangel Michael himself and his powerful ability to cut the energy cords from the hard drive and help me actually heal the hard drive. Number eight, of course, I had my entire team of guardian angels and guides holding space for me while I performed this entire ritual. And nine, last but not least, surely not least, definitely not least, my faith that this process would work and my gratitude that it did. Faith is everything. So I guess you could call this, as we have 9 different things here. You can call this my 9-point approach to healing. 9 is a powerful number. The number 9 symbolizes divine completeness. It's also a magical number of completion and fulfillment. It is the number of wisdom and good leadership, and is the number of heaven. So like I said earlier, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. That's my story of the healing of the hard drive and the recovery of the data. With all of that said, and our topic today being the oracle cards, I am going to grab my deck of Archangel Michael oracle cards and pull one as a common message to all of you listening. So I take the cards out of the box and I sit straight up in my chair with my feet flat on the ground, and I try and pull in the energy of the earth up into my feet, up through my legs, up through my torso, and just feel that energy of the earth. I invite all of my angels and guides to join while I'm pulling the card, and So I'm taking the cards and I'm just doing a loose shuffle, just, kind of shuffling from one hand to the other. Um, and while I am doing this, I am saying a prayer to the angels to please bring us the card that will give us the message they want us to hear for today. Um, so I'm through shuffling. So now I'm just going to, with both my hands, just kind of fan them out. And then I'm just going to start moving piles from the front to the back. And the cards are going to kind of settle in. And I'm going to instinctively know which card it is that I need to pull. And here's one right here. It's kind of sticking out the top of the deck. So I am pulling it. And I flip the card over. And the card itself is called Let Go of Fear Now. And the prayer that is sitting at the bottom of the card says, Archangel Michael, please help me feel safe and deserving of your guidance. Thank you for clearing me of heavy, toxic, or ego-based thoughts or feelings. So then I pull out the guidebook. Let's see, Let Go of Fear Now. And I go to that page. And I'm going to read you what it says here. This is a longer description of the card. So let go of fear now. Archangel Michael says that fear is the only thing interfering with your happiness and plans. He wants to show you how to release any worry or dread so you can feel safe and secure. This card indicates that you're ready to let go of control issues and trust that everything ultimately works out for the best. This is a perfect card. It's kind of an amazing card. I kind of follow this card closely in my own life. I know that with my business, that if I just let go and let the universe guide me to what I need to do in my business, that I always will get the right message and the right answer. And it's a big message. Just kind of let go. So we've come to the end of our time together today, and I just want to thank all of you who listened to today's show. I am so grateful for your time, grateful that you have an interest in listening to my show, and grateful for any positive thoughts you've sent along to me while you've been listening. On my website at www.wakingthespirit.net, you will find show notes for today's show in the blog section. The title of the blog show will be Show Notes, Oracle Cards. So Show Notes, Oracle Cards. And I also want to say thank you very much to New 72 Media and New 72 Radio for making this show possible. And thank you to Kelly Lair for all your wonderful production work. So that's it for now. Blessings to you all. Bye for now.